What's up, Potrero fam? So I've done so many videos about Las Vegas. It's one of my favorite places to go. And as a result of doing all of these videos about, how to get into nightclubs, dealing with Vegas club promoters, the pros and the cons of the different nightclubs, the things about the strip and going to Vegas and whatever. A lot of questions I've been recently getting have been from people saying, hey, Mark, I know you've done a lot of videos about Vegas. I know you're very knowledgeable about Las Vegas. What are some beginner's tips? It's my first time going. I'm a newbie. I have no idea what to expect. What are things that you suggest that I should do? And then what are things that you suggest that I shouldn't do? What are some things that I should make sure I have to see, like must-sees? But also, what are some things that I absolutely have to avoid? So in this video, I'm going to give you 5 do's and 5 don'ts for your first time going to Vegas. Starting with the do's, or the things that you must do, number 1 is be close to the strip. Especially if you're going for a few days, the strip is where all the action is. You're going to hear this from everybody. Go to the strip, go to the strip, go to the strip. Now, I know a lot of people sometimes like to do that kind of Airbnb math, where they're like, okay, well, yeah, the hotels on the Vegas Strip are kind of pricey, but Airbnbs obviously are going to always be cheaper, right? I mean, that's just one of the benefits of getting an Airbnb. However, the tricky thing is that you might be able to find an Airbnb that's really, really cheap. I mean, the housing market in Vegas is super cheap. But if it is, like, say, I'm just making this up, a 15 or 20 minute drive from the Strip, which is still not that far, you may be spending more in Lyft and in Ubers to go all the way to the Strip and then come all the way back, right? So that is one thing you do have to keep in mind. Now, if you do have a DD, or like say someone who doesn't drink or whatever, that's a little bit different. Or like say if you're not even drinking at all, okay, a little bit of a different story. But for most people going to Vegas, I mean, you're probably going to go out, you're going to be partying and everything. And so, yeah, maybe you might be able to find an Airbnb that's super inexpensive, but it's pretty far from the Strip. You're actually going to be spending more money overall from all the money you're spending on Lyft, Ubers, taxis, or whatever to go from your place to the Strip and back. Number 2, walk along the Strip. Now, I've said this in so many other videos, so for people who watch all my other videos, I'm sorry, but I really like to drill this point home. One of the best parts about going to Vegas is honestly just walking along the Strip. In case you don't know, Vegas is one of the few places, I think one of the only 2 in the entire country in the United States where you can legally drink all, like, completely out in public. And I'm not just talking like, oh, you need the special cup that has a whatever. No, you can, if you want, get a handle of vodka and, go crazy. Do whatever you want. Like, it's completely legal. So, one of the best parts to do, though, is to go on the Strip, have some drinks with friends, and walk up and down it. Because the amount of money, even just quickly looking at the Vegas Strip, the amount of money that goes into it is millions, if not probably billions, of all the hotels, the unique architecture, the unique structures. And in addition, obviously this is probably not surprising to anybody, you can easily walk in the hotels. They don't, ID you or anything. So you can easily walk into any of the hotels and look at everything. So for example, walking into the Venetian or Caesar's Palace or checking out MGM or checking out all these other hotels. They put so much money, time, and effort into making these hotels look unbelievable. And I know when a lot of people go to Vegas for the first time, they're like, oh, Mark, I have to gamble. I have to, go to this nightclub. I want to go to X, Y, and Z. But a lot of people, in my opinion, miss out on just honestly just walking along the Strip. Grab some friends, maybe treat it as your pregame session, or maybe, do whatever you want. Grab a couple drinks or some beers along the Strip, and they're usually pretty cheap, actually, on the Strip. And just walk up and down it and just look at all the amazing stuff around you. Number 3, work with club promoters. Now, I will say in the description below, I have a playlist of all my Vegas videos, and I've done a ton about how to basically get into these Vegas nightclubs completely for free, and you have to go through promoters. And then this makes the entire process way easier by finding a promoter, working with them, figuring out where you want to go, figuring out what DJ you want to see, figuring out all this kind of stuff. Now, I will say this. A lot of people, especially if it's your first time going to Vegas, will kind of pre-purchase the tickets, and this is a subject that I've already talked about in other videos, but there is pros and cons when it comes to just buying a ticket to that nightclub and working with a promoter for that nightclub. To kind of give a quick thing, I will say this. If it's a group of girls, let's say you have a very good ratio, and as you can imagine, the ratio always is more girls than guys, or even. But if you, let's say, have, 5 girls and 4 guys, for example, as part of your group, I would suggest going to a club promoter. You're going to have no issue getting into anywhere for free, and you have to spend all that money. However, if it's mostly guys or all guys, or you have a really bad ratio, you might want to kind of look into possibly purchasing a ticket. But this is why talking to a club promoter doesn't hurt. They might be able to be like, hey, you know what, guys? It's 4 dudes. There's no way I can get you in for free. But I can give you this special code that if you buy a ticket, it's 50% off, right? So you might not be able to get in for free, but you might be able to get a way more discounted ticket. So always work with club promoters. Number 4, don't forget about downtown Vegas. Now, downtown Vegas, also referred to as Old Vegas, is such a great part of Las Vegas that most people completely either A, don't even know about, or B, just kind of like, that's some Old Vegas. You want to check it out, especially things like the Fremont Street Experience. And again, I have all my videos about partying on the Fremont Street Experience and everything from Vegas listed below in that playlist in the description. And I love Fremont Street. It's one of the best places. That's also where a lot of locals will go, is around downtown Vegas or Old Vegas. As you can imagine, most Vegas locals will kind of avoid the Strip. Obviously, and that's kind of obvious reasons. But, when it comes to downtown Vegas, it's an amazing spot to go around. I remember I was at the Fremont Street Experience for St. Patrick's Day, and it was kind of this toss. I'm like, okay, for St. Patrick's Day, should I be on the Strip and buy the links, and there's some bars on the links that are very, St. Patrick's Day heavy, or should I go to the Fremont Street Experience? And the Fremont Street Experience was amazing. It was beyond packed, tons of free bands playing Irish music. It was an amazing time. So I think one big thing when it comes to Vegas is people always think about the Strip. But do not forget about downtown Vegas. And last, but definitely not least, number 5 is remember to dress up. I used to think that this was kind of common knowledge. Like, if you go to a nightclub, remember, especially for guys, business pants, a nice button up, really nice dress or business shoes. But you'd be surprised, and this still blows my mind, that people go there and be like, wait, I have to dress up? I have to look nice for this nightclub? And I'm like, yeah, where have you been for the last, I don't know, whatever years? This is a big thing that I'm still blown away, so I have to say this, right? Now I'm going to give a brief, because this could be a whole other video in itself as what to dress up. But basically, for both guys and girls, when it comes to nightclubs, and then I'll get to pool parties, when it comes to nightclubs, you just have to really look presentable, right? For guys, pretend like you're going on a nice interview. I think that's a really good way to word how you should dress for Vegas nightclubs. So for me, I typically wear business shoes, business pants, a nice button up. I might do the suit coat. The tie's not really necessary. The suit coat, maybe not either, but sometimes I like that touch of having a suit coat. But again, you can just wear some really nice pants, a really nice shirt, a button up. Basically just look very presentable. Always ask yourself, if I was going to an interview right now, would I be a little bit too underdressed? So that's one thing. I know, granted, I guess some interviews you do have to wear the tie. But nonetheless, just look presentable. Like, look very, very nice, right? Same thing for girls. Now, when it comes to pool parties, this is kind of a weird one. Make sure you have, obviously, swim trunks, obviously. Tank tops are allowed, but not the thin white ones. I didn't know this. I don't know why, but I remember one time they said, okay, tank tops are allowed. I'm like, okay. And I was wearing just like a typical white one that I had because I was just finishing up working out, and I was like, I'll just go to the pool. And they didn't let me, they basically would not allow me to get in because it was one of those thin tank tops. So if you are going to wear a tank top when it comes to the pool, make it be one of those ones that like the strap or whatever that term is for this thing. The shoulder part? I don't know. Make sure it's a little bit bigger, right? For girls, this is not much of an issue. As you can imagine, when it comes to Vegas nightclubs and the pool parties, they're way more strict about guys' looks than girls because they want more girls all the time. They do whatever they can to get more girls into that venue. In addition, I cannot say enough, wear sandals. This is going to be a weird thing, but some Vegas pool parties, I'm not making this up, actually ban socks. Why? I do not know. But there's one time I was wearing shoes and I had to throw my socks away. I'm not making this up. I had to throw my socks away to get in. This is one of my first times going to Vegas. And I was like, what? They're white socks. What's the big deal? And the guy's like, sorry, man, no socks allowed. And I'm like, okay. So that's one thing you gotta have to keep in mind. But again, nightclubs, make sure you dress up. And to make the whole pool party experience easier, either wear just a t-shirt or wear like, again, a tank top that has bigger shoulder straps and whatnot. It looks like a very almost presentable tank top along with swim trunks, and definitely bring sandals. And now on to the don'ts. Starting off with number 1 is avoid strip clubs. Now, being realistic on camera and just being, obviously transparent, there are a lot of guys that I know that are like, oh, dude, Vegas, the first thing I think of is strip clubs, right? Not surprising to anybody. And I'm not saying that all strip clubs are bad, and I'm not saying that not all your experiences in them are going to be bad. I'm just saying to just be a little bit aware and be very cognizant and be very smart when going into one. I've heard an astronomical amount of horror stories when it comes to strip clubs. And usually when people tell me about some horrible thing that happened to them in Vegas or I hear about it, it usually somehow involves either a strip club or other things, which I'll get into a little bit later, and I'm just like, why? And so the one thing I will say is that strip clubs, especially for guys, girls, obviously, strip clubs don't even really care that much about, right? So obviously usually more for the guys. They're going to do whatever they can to try to get more money out of you. And I've heard unbelievably sketchy, really messed up things that they have done. So again, I just want to say this, that you don't necessarily have to avoid all of them. For me, I don't go to them because I'm like, I'd have a way better time going to a nightclub and doing other stuff and meeting people. But, you know, if you do want to go out and enjoy them, just be very aware. Just be very cognizant of your surroundings. Know what you're getting into and stuff like that, because, again, there's a lot of sketchy stuff that does go on with them. Number 2, avoid the street games. Now, like I said, for avoiding strip clubs, obviously, if you do want to go to them, okay, but just be very aware and cognizant. However, street games, don't even touch them. And when I say that, you know, I've heard a lot of, you know, really bad and negative, horrific, even some stories about people having a bad time in Vegas. It usually involves either strip club or the street games, sometimes even a combination. And the thing is, these street games are designed to get more money out of you. Same thing when you go to the circus and they have those, you know, throw the ball and try to hit the things off of whatever. All those games you all see and we all know. Don't, even if you know how to do it, I'm telling you, don't. Because there is so much things and techniques and just manipulative scams that go around these street games. I mean, there's actually a lot of them where they'll have somebody who will be like, you know, they're doing the game, right? And then they'll be, oh my God, I just won $1,000. And then they freak out. And that person's actually in on it. And this happens a lot in Vegas, and not only that, but other places where a person will all of a sudden win $1,000, and it was super easy. And all they had to do was spend $50, and then they got $1,000. No, they're in on it as well. This happens a lot. Just trust me, avoid the street games completely. Number 3, avoid holiday weekends. Now, if you're watching this video, you may have already booked your trip. You may be going on holiday weekend, like Memorial Day weekend or Halloween weekend or St. Patrick's Day weekend. Actually, St. Patrick's Day is a little bit different. New Year's Eve is a big one too. Now, first off, I want to say this, and I really have to stress this. Vegas is always crazy. It's always crazy. It's always going to be upbeat. It is always going to be Vegas. And a lot of people I know when they're going for their first time, like say, oh, well, Mark, I'm not going to go on a random weekend. I got to do Memorial Day weekend. I have to do Labor Day weekend. I have to do those weekends because I want it to be crazy. It's going to be crazy no matter what. So that's one thing I want to say. Second reason why I say to avoid holiday weekends is because everything is jacked up. I'm talking the prices for the hotels, way higher. Drink prices are way higher. Food's way higher. Transportation costs are probably going to be a lot higher because a lot more people are taking Lyft and Ubers, and as you can imagine, that jacks up the price. In addition, like I said way earlier in this video about being able to get into clubs for free, on a holiday weekend, that's probably not going to happen at all. If you go out on a holiday weekend, it's unbelievably unlikely, not just for guys, but even for girls too, to get in. I've heard of some holiday weekends that are so packed, they have to say to girls, sorry, you guys have to pay, and obviously girls flip out over that because usually they get in for free everywhere. But on a holiday weekend, it's just way more annoying. And trust me, I really have to stress this. Vegas is always crazy. And again, if you've already booked your flight and your hotel and you're all set for a holiday weekend, you know, obviously you're still going to enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. A holiday weekend will be a little bit more upbeat than a normal weekend. I will say that. But in terms of just all the hassle of everything that goes into play, just choose a regular weekend and I promise you, you'll have an awesome time. Number 4, avoid being on the strip around 6 a.m. or basically around sunrise. Now, this is one of those weird things. Obviously, every area, every part of the country is different and part of the world, right? Every city has its own kind of thing. When it comes to the Vegas Strip, for whatever reason, around 3 or 4 a.m., which for most cities would be kind of like a sketchy time to be out, isn't actually that sketchy. Because think about it. Everyone gets out of the clubs except around 2 to 3 a.m. Some might be going to after-hours clubs. Some people might be walking along the strip just looking for, you know, some food or whatever. So people can be out and about even by 3 or 4 a.m. It's around that like 6 or 7 a.m. time that the strip is incredibly sketchy. I don't know what it is. I don't know why. That's just the way it is. Like I said, around sunrise time is usually like the worst time to be on the strip, at least, you know, in my experience. So that's one thing I will say, that especially like say if it's a girl and she's alone, or even a guy and you're alone and you're walking on the strip and it's like 6 or 7 a.m., I would do what you can to avoid that time. And I might even say from like 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. Again, I don't know what it is, but that period of time being on the strip is really sketchy. And last, but definitely not least, number 5 of things that you don't do not arrive to the club late if you are using a club promoter. This one I wanted to finish off this video for because this may be the most important thing, or one of the most important things of this entire video. Because when you get in for free, guess what? So aren't a lot of other people looking to get in for free as well. And there have been times where, let's say, and again, there's usually a window that you get. So I will say that when using a club promoter. So typically, let's say you're going to Omni Nightclub, and Omni Nightclub actually is pretty good when it comes to letting everyone for free, not just girls, but guys as well. So they may be like, hey, you know what? From 10 a.m. to midnight, guys get in for free. No charge, completely free. Even if it's 10 guys and no girls, you all get in for free. So, as you can imagine, when that does happen, tons of people also like to get in for free. So, they're all going there. Now, I've said to people before, like, you know what, guys? We should get to the club. Let's get there around, like, 10:30 and maybe 10:30 p.m. And I've had friends be like, Mark, I'm not getting to the nightclub at 10 p.m. That's so early. Like, I'll just wait till 11:30. Like, I don't know why you're going early. And then guess what happens? I get a call or a text saying, hey, dude, we're in line. The line's out the door around the block, and there's no way we're going to make it in before midnight, and we're going to have to pay. Is there anything we can do? And I say, no, you should have listened. And this happens a lot. And I'm telling you, even people are like, okay, Mark's exaggerating. We don't really have to get there that early. Mark's just exaggerating. They're the ones that then have to pay to get in. Because, and this, like, again, like a place like Omnia, Hakkasan, Excess, any of these clubs, when they have the guest list, which is pretty much all the time, it gets so crazy because everybody wants to get in for free. I mean, who doesn't want to get in for free? So everyone goes, and the people who don't get there early are usually way back when in line. And even if you got in the guest list line, and even if you got there at 11 p.m., but you waited over an hour to get in, there's a good chance you're going to have to pay. So keep that in mind.